Hello, 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 hello. Thank you for joining me here today. This is Bora Bliss. Um, Today we're going to be talking about wisdom and influence as a woman's weapon, and it's going to be exciting. So I'm going to start out with by sharing a story, a very short story. Okay, so let's go. So once upon a time, there was a mighty lion named Nuru, and being the king of the jungle, he challenged all the animals to a race. Upon hearing about the challenge, there was a wise tortoise called Kazi, and he accepted the challenge. Nur, on the other hand, being so confident in his speed, raced ahead. And unknowing to Nuru, Kuzi had stationed his lookalike friends along the path. Each time Nuru paused, he saw a tortoise ahead and he sped up. Exhausted, Nuru finally reached the end of the race, finding Kazi already there. "How did you do this?" Nuru panted, and Kazi just smiled. Strength has its place, but wisdom and strategy can conquer the mightiest. And from then on, Nuru respected Kazi's wisdom. From this story, I would like to compare the man to the lion and the woman to the tortoise. A woman's strength may not lie in her physical abilities and powers like the man, but it doesn't mean she's not strong or she doesn't have her own strength. Her own strength is within, on the inside, and it's one that she has to craftily build and display for the world to see. A man's strength is on full blast physically. He can move things, he can be loud, he can shake the place. A woman, on the other hand, has a different approach, or is wired to have a different approach. But in the end, she's still able to achieve her goal. So, a woman can be wise, very crafty, just like we see with the tortoise. A woman is very able and capable of doing that. A woman can be very diligent, very strategic, and with the ability to influence and make a man to succeed or to crumble. Truly, a woman can make or break a man. She can make him do whatever she wants him to if she capitalizes on her strength. Unfortunately, this is something that a lot of women have forgotten. They have forgotten how powerful they are, but instead, they begin to fight like men, thinking they would win over him in his space. Forgetting that if they're able to capitalize or take advantage of the way they're wired, specially wired, they can make or break a man. I want to take this opportunity to implore women to use their strengths in helping men in the areas where they need help so that they can be more balanced and to be the best version of themselves. Trust me, When you help out the brothers, they'll definitely thank you for it. The sad truth or reality is that some women who have mastered and honed these strengths have unfortunately used it for very nefarious purposes. They have used it to pull down and to craftily destroy men. We hear, for example, the story of Delilah and Jezebel, and those names have become synonymous with female deceit and male destruction. But this should not be the case. The women who destroy men have chosen to employ their strengths in bringing down men. I want to implore all women to instead use their strengths to build, to inspire, to encourage, sustain, and motivate the men in their lives to be strong and courageous in doing the right thing. We also see this trend where the good women who have good hearts and intentions have been somewhat slow in recognizing and accepting their God given power and strength. And as such, they have been unable to fully utilize it in affecting their world and the men in their lives. I can assure you that if more women begin to recognize and take hold of their strengths and skillfully use it, we will definitely see a positive difference in our world. We cannot deny the fact that a woman holds the keys to a man's heart. A godly woman should ensure that she does not abuse this responsibility. It's a very big responsibility. But instead, she should take the opportunity to build and positively impact the lives that have been entrusted to her care. Every story has a lesson that can be gleaned from. We can learn not to repeat the same mistakes, and we can learn to emulate or disregard some aspect of the story in order to help us on our journey through life. In the case of Delilah, like I mentioned above, she wore Samson down with her tears until he could not resist her plea to reveal the secret of his power. Now imagine with me if Delilah was really looking out for Samson and she used her tears to persuade him in acting more righteously or taking the right steps towards a noble cause. I'm sure the outcome would have been different. What about Jezebel? She went ahead and used her manipulative strength or power to craft out a plan which ended up stealing from an innocent man and killing him. In the time of her husband's weakness, she decided to capitalize on that opportunity. She capitalized on his weakness. She took matters into her own hands. And instead of giving her husband godly counsel, she used her place to cause the death of an innocent man. Besides Delilah and Jezebel, who have earned a notorious reputation, we can see how other women use their power in very unwise manners. For example, we see Eve, the mother of mankind, who made Adam to eat the fruit he was clearly instructed by God not to eat. Okay, now you tell me if that is not power. That's serious power we're talking about. Someone who can make a man to disregard and disobey the command and clear instructions given to him by his maker. So are you trying to tell me now that he regards the voice of the woman more than his maker? And come to think of it, I'm not totally surprised. And the reason being that the woman is a part of the man. There's something in the woman that is definitely lacking in the man. And so when he looks at the woman, he's like, look, I'm not whole without her. So he's compelled to listen to her voice. So women know this. A man is compelled to listen to you. That's just his makeup. That's just the way he is. If the first man could not resist Eve, a woman, what makes you think that if you do what you have to do and you use your strength wisely, that you cannot also influence and positively impact the man in your life? What about Sarah? Sarah was also able to influence her husband Abraham to take the slave girl as a wife. We do not have any record stating that Abraham was attracted to Hagar or that he was interested in her. But when his wife spoke, he listened because she had his ears and held the key to his heart. And then, what about Rebecca? It was her voice that caused Isaac to release Jacob to make the trip to Laban. We also see the woman called Jael, who used her power of influence and her power of influence to deceitfully lure Sisera, the enemy of Israel, to his death. I'm not saying a man cannot do what she did or some of these things, but clearly a woman is best suited for that kind of warfare. When a man is not able to penetrate a place or a situation very easily, a woman will seamlessly penetrate. As such, women have been employed as spies for a very long time because they can sneak their way into the very heart of the situation and begin to sow the seed of whatever they need to plant. Now imagine if godly women with the right intentions, walking and operating in their strengths, begin to do this, begin to walk in their strengths, what we will see. They will definitely become a powerful force. They will have the power to plant godly seeds in hearts where it would have been impossible in the past. They will have the power to change minds, attitudes, and lives, which will have a rippling positive effect. My dear sisters, when you tell yourself that you are weak, then you are weak indeed. But when you recognize your power and believe in your unique strength as a woman, then the impossible begins to melt before you. And you may be wondering why. This is because you carry within you the divine feminine force. You can be fully aligned with it to balance out the male energy. When we help balance out the male energy, we'll be happy. The earth will also be happy. And our men will be happy. We'll be happy because we are living according to our design and fighting in a way that is best suited for us. I cannot highlight Jael without recognizing Deborah. Deborah was such a fearless, bold woman. She was full of wisdom and courage. When the heart of the men failed, it was Deborah, a woman who gave them hope, faith, and reassurance. She may not have climbed on the back of a horse or wielded a physical sword, but nevertheless, she was a warrior at heart. She motivated, led, and directed the fighting, physically strong men to claim their victory. And what about Abigail? Abigail used her strength to stop the slaughter that would have resulted from her husband's unwise actions. If she had not wisely intervened in a timely manner, the lives of many people, including her own, would have been lost. She spoke and acted humbly to appease the heart of David. She didn't go to her husband and say, "Oh, you stupid husband of mine, you must pay for your wickedness." Instead, she chose to act in the integrity of her heart while honoring her unwise, wicked husband, thus also turning danger and calamity away from her household. Now, imagine if Abigail began railing curses and insults at David when she met him. And she began approaching David like a man's battle, fighting him like she's a man. And they began to combat the way men fight. What will the outcome have been? A lot of people would have lost their lives. But instead, she acted with wisdom. And like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, actually the last video, as the strength of a woman, I said women are tension diffusers. They're natural tension diffusers. And we see this here. Because David was ready to go out there and just wipe the whole family out. But Abigail intervened and lives were spared. Okay? Now let's also consider Rebecca, the wife of Isaac, the mother of Jacob. People seem to forget that Rebecca was the mastermind of the plan to strip Esau of his firstborn blessing. She crafted the plan and lectured Jacob on how he could steal the blessing of the firstborn son. Why did she do this? She remembered the prophecy that was given that the firstborn would serve the younger. And she waited for the day that she could solidify this prophecy. She was bold and courageous enough to even accept the curse if Jacob was found out. If not for her bravery and wisdom, there'll be no 12 tribes of Israel like we see in the Bible. How about Esther? Imagine Esther charging at Haman, who had been plotting the death and destruction of the Jewish people. Imagine Esther just charging at him. What do you think that would have looked like? Or what about if she had just gone charging at the king and accusing him of being a foolish man and allowing himself to be deceived by Haman? Tell me, how do you think that would have played out? I don't think it would have gone very well. It would have been very, very ugly. Why? Because she's approaching him as a man. And when you approach a man like a man, trust me, he would retaliate and come back to you like a man. It's like, you want to play this game? Okay, let's do it. And you're not ready for that. I mean, you can tell yourself you're ready, but that's not how you're wired. So you might succeed but the chances are very high that you will not, because that's not your design. So instead, like I was talking about Esther, she capitalized on her feminine strength. She moved on behalf of her people to make the king to protect and defend her and her people. She didn't go saying, "No, I'm going to do things on my own," taking matters into her own hand and fighting the way man fights. She devised a plan, and she used her strength as a woman, and she was able to avert destruction and death of herself and her people. So, I've given some instances here through this presentation where women either caused the downfall of their men, or they stepped into this strength and used it in saving, building, and helping men. I want to tell women that it's time for us women, it's time for us to stand up in our unique strengths and to become a positive powerhouse for the change we want to see in the world. There's no need going around shouting and crying how unfair the world is and how men are doing this, men are doing that, when we are not even stepping into our purpose, when we are not fighting according to our design, we are not doing what we should be doing. We are going about challenging men everywhere, wanting to be better than men. Like that's very ridiculous. In my opinion, it doesn't make any sense. You cannot try to, I don't know, it's like saying a fish in the water should come out and battle a lion on the land. Like, well, one lives in the water and then the other one lives on land. And like the story I talked about earlier, I shared earlier, the story of the lion and the tortoise. For crying out loud, the tortoise can never outrun the lion. It's not possible. He's equipped for that. But the tortoise devised a plan and took the prize. Okay? So there's a place for physical strength, there's a place for aggression, and then there's a place where wisdom and gentleness, they all come together. And now you're able to exert some influence over the other person. I'm not saying go around trying to manipulate men to destroy them or act out of selfish interest. You have to understand that the man he is like yourself. He's just like you. You are only expressed differently. He's the other side of you. So if your goal or your sole aim and purpose is to go about destroying men, then you know that for sure you're destroying yourself. You will think you're winning in the beginning, but in the end, you will see that you are only hurting yourself. So, again, it's time for women to stand up in their unique strengths and become a positive powerhouse for the change we want to see in our world. Okay? We cannot tackle life using the same approach as men. Let men do their thing. Let them fight their fight according to their design. That's how they were wired. Let them do their thing. And let us women do our own part. Let us fight according to our own strength, according to our own design. Let us do our own part in bringing about balance to our lives and our world according to our special, amazing, and awesome design. Women, you're not weak. You were never weak. Do not try to, what's the word? Prove yourself. You're already enough. You're already more than enough. You're strong enough to pull down a man. So use it instead to build him up. When you build him up, you're also building yourself up. When you help him, you're also helping yourself because he'll turn around and help you. And when you fight according to your design, you'll be happy because that's how you were wired, that's how you were created. Okay? You're not less, you're not weak. You are a very powerful force. The sooner you realize that, the better. Begin to walk in your purpose, begin to walk according to your design, the way God made you. And you'll begin to see changes in your life. Tap into your inner wisdom, tap into your inner strength, and begin to do things that you thought were impossible. It's time for good women to show yourselves. Good women rise up. Don't let bad women take all the praise. Good women step into your strength and do what you have to do to bring about positive change in your world, in your lives, in the lives of your sons, the lives of your husbands, your fathers, wherever you go. We need to help out our men. If they have fallen, okay. They say two wrongs don't make it right. You don't have to contribute or add to the whole mess. You do your own part and fight your own fight according to the strengths that God has given to you. Okay? So once again, I spoke in general terms, and I hope you're able to learn one or two things from this and maybe start a conversation with your with female friends and see how um, we can begin to change things in our lives, in our world, in our families, okay? And help out our men using the strengths and abilities that we have. Once again, I want to say thank you for joining me here today. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and to share. Thank you. God bless you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.